The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the makeshift Upmarket studio in beautiful Ventura, California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media. And that other co-founder, that pesky guy, Mark, not here today for this. And Chelsea Froelich, our producer, she's producing today in her heart. I'm here because I'm excited because, look, PMRE is coming up. I know it's a few months away still, but tickets are on sale. They are selling quickly. So you want to get in there and get your tickets. It's going to be November 13th through 15th at the Palms Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Go to PMREconference.com to check out all the speakers, all the schedule, all the add-ons, all the cool stuff that is happening at PMRE. We've been talking about on this podcast, and we're going to continue to talk about it. We'll have a good interview today lined up for you. And we're able to do that because of our partnership with iGUIDE for these Road to PMRE episodes. And iGUIDE has their own tour to PMRE, iGUIDE tour to PMRE. It makes a lot of sense. And they have partnered with us, and they are giving away via this podcast 2 all expense paid trips to PMRE. So it's super easy to enter, and I encourage you to enter because the odds of winning one of these are really, really good. So if you go to goigide.com/PMRE, all you have to do is put in your email address, and then you're going to go to Instagram.com on your phone, and you're going to follow go_iGuide and Upmarket Pod. You do those 3 things, and you're going to be entered to win one of these amazing trips. And also, everyone who enters the giveaway will be given a coupon code for $50 off your PMRE registration. And so even if you have already registered for PMRE and you win the iGUIDE sweepstakes, you will be reimbursed for your ticket and reimbursed for any travel costs you have already incurred. So everyone should enter this contest, even if you've already bought your ticket. So check it out. goigide.com/PMRE. And, one of the things that I'm obviously so excited about PMRE this year is not only is it the move to the Palms, the new venue and a whole new vibe for the conference, it's this additional optional 3rd day, which is all about commercial and architecture and corporate photography and how that relates to traditional real estate photography. We are so delighted to have with us Tony Colangelo out of Duncan, British Columbia. Tony Colangelo Photography, and honestly, let's be honest, one of the bigger names in our industry. Tony, what are you going to be doing on day 3, right? You're going to get up there, and I'm excited about this. What's your role going to be?
Well, my role, as far as I know, is to essentially host the day and introduce folks coming up for their presentations. And then later on, it's my understanding that I'll be moderating the panel of the keynote speakers that Brandon has brought together. Just a tremendous group of people.
The names that, we got Chris Stacy, we got Emma Peter, Brandon Barre, all these amazing speakers on day 3. And so and for you, like, what is it about, and why do you feel like it's so important for people to consider staying for this optional day 3?
Well, that's a really good question. I think there are a number of reasons. First of all, for the folks who who signed up for the first couple of days, honestly, Reed, I think if we were to do a poll by a show of hands right in that moment and ask the question, how many of you in the near future, or maybe 2 to 3 years out, have aspirations to shoot for interior designers and architects, I'd bet you a good chunk of money that a significant portion, perhaps even a majority of the audience, would put up their hand.
Right.
And I think the reason that it's so important is that it follows through on the PMRE mission, which is so simple, so elegant, of connect, learn, grow. Well, in terms of learning how to do that and to be inspired to do that and to grow yourself as a as a photographer, as a creative, as an artist, that is within the mandate of PMRE, even though historically it started in the core real estate photography area or field. I think there's a mandate, perhaps some would say there's an obligation to allow multiple opportunities for growth, including growth into different genres of interior photography. So that includes design and architecture. So I think it's important because it fits the mission for folks who are already architectural photographers and they're established. Well, my goodness, Reed, you've got three of the biggest names anywhere.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Emma Peter, I don't know about you, but for me is such an inspiration. I
had a podcast all about that. I had an episode all about her being inspiring. So for sure, yeah.
Well, it's and inspiring is the appropriate word. I mean, she has such an interesting background. She is absolutely driven. She's an expert at her craft. And, I like going on her website every now and then and reviewing the images and sort of kind of reverse engineering and trying to figure out what the heck she's been doing. And I stopped going on her website when it shifts from inspiration to depression.
Yeah, right.
I wonder out loud to myself whether I'll achieve that level. So we have Emma Peter, we have Brandon Barry and Chris Stacy. I mean, these are
and Matt Anderson and
we have some of the most foremost in their field. They're right on like top tier people. So I think if you're already an established architectural photographer, there's going to be great value. If you just want to come out for day 3, I mean, you're going to get, the ROI on your time and your money is going to be exceptional.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it goes back to something that we've at this point been talking about a bit on the podcast. This day 3 is not about taking real estate photographers and getting them out of that industry and putting them into the more exclusive, more highly regarded architecture and commercial and design photography industry. It is really about making sure that when these opportunities come up as a real estate photographer, which they always do, because we're out there, we're producing so much content, meeting so many people. Someday you are going to be referred, or someone is going to call you who wants to do one of those types of shoots. And so the more you know, the more you can talk about that and sound like you know what you're talking about. You're opening up more opportunity to grow your work and more opportunity to grow your business. I mean, it's such a no-brainer to me. Even though personally for me, I have no aspirations. I do not want to be Emma Peter. I do not want to do that kind of stuff. I want to be there for day 3 because I know that it's going to help us grow our business. I mean, that to me is the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
With this mission of PMRE, with to connect and learn and grow, I think you've played such an integral role in that over the years. And when I think of you, and I know often you're working with Wayne Capili and Fraser Almeida. I really think about how you, I maybe give back is the wrong way to put it, but how your mission seems to be to educate. How on stage every year you've done a photo critique, you've done workshops. I mean, I know you're very active in the workshop space. Can you talk a little bit about how the education component has kind of shaped your career and what that means to you and why you do it?
It's interesting. You mentioned, Reed, a moment ago as you were setting up the question, the whole idea of kind of alluding to a personal mission and the whole idea of giving back. Photography is really my 5th career. I've had the good fortune of having some level of success in a number of other careers. And through them all, it's been driven by impacting the trajectory of a person's life, of a person's career. All right. So, yeah, it is about giving back because I've been very fortunate. So much of what I do is me standing on the shoulders of others who have helped me. So yeah, there's a big part of it is wanting to give back. My first career, probably something that on a DNA level is still the biggest part of me. I was a counselor as my first career. That's why I got into the career. I wanted to help people. So I think it's very gratifying to continue to do work, even in photography, where I'm able to do that. So the whole idea of making small little tweaks in a person's workflow and a person's way of seeing things is a big deal for me, because if you take that little tweak in the moment, it might not seem like much. But when applied over time, it affects. It has the potential to affect someone's personal and professional trajectory. And that's the goal. Because ultimately, with commitment and diligence and practice and hard work, more often than not, the trajectory leads to a better place. So that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why I try to stay involved in coaching. This year is the 10th year that I've been a photography coach. I've been doing workshops probably for about 8 years now. And over the last 2 or 3 years with Wayne Capili and Fraser Almeida, who are just great friends of mine. And, we get along famously. And I think that translates well to the students in our workshops.
I know recently you did a PMRE workshop in Carmel with Wayne and Fraser. I know you're going to be doing a workshop in Las Vegas. So can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I know you've done the similar workshop, I think the last year or two, but it's the 2 days preceding the conference, correct?
That's right. That's right. And the focus of that is pretty tight. We are wanting to help out real estate photographers who have established themselves somewhat, and they have aspirations to do more work in luxury real estate. So it's a course, it's a 2-day workshop devoted to help them do that. That talks about how to improve your craft, that gives them insights on how to approach a new target audience, lots of business and marketing and branding advice. And exercises. And we mix that in on each day with opportunities for people to come along with us to a beautiful property, a luxury property, and just shoot it, right? And try to do things differently, try some of the techniques and examples that we espouse in the workshop.
Can you nutshell it? What is the difference between shooting luxury and shooting, run-of-the-mill everyday real estate, other than the house is nicer? Because I feel like, and maybe I'm a good example because, or maybe I'm a terrible example. I don't know. Like, I don't tend to approach it any differently other than, well, I probably take more photos at when the house is worth $5 million than when it's worth 800,000, which in our, 800,000 in our neck of the woods is the kind of low level price home.
There are significant differences. First of all, from a photography point of view, core real estate is really aimed at documenting of the space. It's a documenting of the square footage. You are asked to shoot really wide. I mean, if agents had the money, they would buy you a fisheye lens and ask you to capture the floor, the ceiling, and all 4 walls. So it is a documenting of the space. You're shooting corner to corner, as many photos as possible. Luxury, I think, is a bit different. Actually, it's quite a bit different because yes, you have to show the space, but you have to show more than that. You have to capture beyond square footage. You have to capture this ethereal concept called the essence of the space, because the agent isn't selling 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 square feet. Right. They are selling a lifestyle. I don't want to get too Hollywood-esque about this, but they are selling a dream. They are selling opportunities. They're selling lifestyle. And generally speaking, because the fit and finish, the craftsmanship in a luxury home tends to be better than what we typically see in core real estate, i.e., 1,000 to 2,500, 3,000 square feet, we have to be mindful of showing that quality, of giving indication of the materiality of the bill. What materials are used and how do they come together to add to the lifestyle?
Well, and when you say, of capturing that, I don't know, maybe the je ne sais quoi of the house, right? Of kind of, selling that dream, too, we're also remembering that, and especially on these luxury properties, we're selling the agent, right? We're selling their brand. And most luxury agents want to have a luxury. I mean, they need to have a luxury brand. So I think the more those photographs can reflect that, the more we're serving our client, which is, just beating a dead horse here, but because we are marketing the realtor instead of, the property. It's really about that agent getting another luxury listing that then you're going to shoot and make a couple grand on as well. So let's take a quick break here, and then we'll come back. And I do want to talk a bit about your first career and how it relates to your current career, and kind of if you have some words of wisdom for me. So, because I need a lot of wisdom because I don't have much of it. So, all right, we'll be right back. It's hard to choose just one thing to love about Aereo, but here's what I'm going to love today. I'm loving the fact that they're always innovating and always making their site better. In fact, I was just using Aereo this morning, and I noticed some interface changes that they made to make it look prettier, to run smoother. Pretty looks are great, but it's what's on the inside that counts, of course. And on the inside, Aereo is such an amazing tool to help grow our business, and it keeps our clients happy. It keeps us happy. It keeps our admins happy. Everything you need to kind of run your real estate media business, you can do in Aereo. Our clients love it continually. They love the fact that they have the login and they have the download center and they have the marketing tools and they have every other thing that Aereo offers them. And we love it because of scheduling, because of billing, because of so many different things that we can do with Aereo. So I implore you to check it out. Aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Use the code Upmarket and you're going to get 15 free bonus listings if you're a new user. Aereo.com. Check it out. So the other day I was talking to my 9-year-old daughter and was telling her about how much I love floor plans. And she's like, Dad, you're always talking about how much you love floor plans. Maybe you should marry a floor plan. Now that's an idea. But I said, honey, unfortunately, Daddy cannot marry an inanimate object, but maybe someday. And I tell you what, in my heart of hearts, if I were to marry a floor plan, you know what kind of floor plan I would marry? It's a second floor app floor plan. Of course it is. You knew where I was going with that. Because second floor app floor plans are so amazing because you can just walk through a house in just a matter of minutes and use your iPhone and boom, you will have a floor plan that you can deliver to your clients or to its future husband immediately. So this is such a wonderful upcharge that you can do say, hey, you want a floor plan right now? Just give me $50. Give me $100. It's yours. And then the client's going to do that. And then you're going to get all that money. And I mean, what a deal. How fantastic. So I want you to go to secondfloorapp.com, and that's all spelled out, secondfloorapp.com/upmarket. And you're going to get a free month of service to check it out and do a bunch of those floor plans and fall in love yourself. secondfloorapp.com/upmarket. All right, let's do some social media sidebar, Tony. If you want to follow Upmarket Pod, we're Upmarket Pod across all social media. Come on, give us a follow, rate, review, subscribe to this podcast. I know Tony has to be subscribed. He's downloading. I'm sure he's given us multiple 5-star reviews on every single platform that podcasts can be found. We've got our YouTube channel. All the video versions of these podcasts are there. Tony Colangelo, I know you're Mr. Social Media. Where can we find you?
I wish I was Mr. Social Media.
Do you? I don't know.
My Instagram is at TC Photography 99.
Okay.
Facebook as well, and under Tony Colangelo Photography. And that's about it.
Okay. Well, what is your, do you have a social media strategy? What are you doing? I mean, are you growing your business at all through social media?
I try. I must confess that I'm a bit lackadaisical about my commitment to social media. I'm just not comfortable with it. So I have to really force myself to keep that commitment, to keep posting. So that's an ongoing struggle for me, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think it's a struggle for a lot of us. So I think we can see ourselves in there. But like in your neck of the woods, I mean, my sense is that you're pretty busy already. Right, that you're not necessarily needing to like get and you're just like a sole shooter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's just me, which I enjoy, and business is good. It's very steady, but that said, you have to keep marketing, even if you have a long history, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of organic growth. That doesn't mean you have to slack off on the marketing, or that you can slack off or take it easy for a while, because it's amazing how quickly things dry up.
Well, yeah, no, we do always have to keep marketing, and we do have to, kind of force ourselves to do some social media. So I'm looking forward to your posts about being on this podcast. So, when this comes out, I'm excited to see your feed. All right. So Tony, you told me earlier you got a great action item. So we're going to hear that after we come back from the break, and we are going to have some more with Tony, and then we're going to end with our action items. And so, hey, we talked about them a little bit at the beginning of the show, but let's talk a little more about iGUIDE. Come on, iGUIDE, such a beloved 3D tour provider for our industry. And, you can use their quick capture system, the Planix Pro. It delivers super amazing, unreal accuracy. You pay per project with no subscription fees. And then also, let me tell you about iGUIDE Instant. It's a 3D tour and interactive floor plan in minutes for just $7.99 US. It's that their 3D tours are accurate, they're easy to navigate, and they're available in a variety of file formats. And one of the great things about iGUIDE is their support team. It has been such a joy to work with the iGUIDE folks in our Road to PMRE, Tour to PMRE stuff. And I know that their customer service for all aspects of their business is remarkable. So I encourage you to check out iGUIDE at goiguide.com or their Instagram at goiguide. And don't forget, once again, enter the sweepstakes for the 2 free trips to PMRE at goiguide.com/PMRE. Check out iGUIDE. All right, we are back with Tony Colangelo, the host of Day 3 of the PMRE 2024 conference at the Palms in Las Vegas. You did say you've had, 5 careers, so to speak, and we don't need you to go through all of them, but currently you're doing real estate photography and photography education. But in your first career, you were a counselor, and I'm really kind of interested in the intersection of this, of how that plays in our industry, because I feel like a lot of people in our industry have mental health problems, and I would say myself included. This job can, for lack of a better term, kind of drive you crazy a little bit, and really affect your life in really negatively affect your mental health in real and serious ways. Have you noticed in our industry any particular issue for people that you're seeing over and over and over again?
Well, yeah. I mean, from a psychological point of view, given that so many in our field are, single proprietor shooters. Even if they have a team, there is a sense, and perhaps even a growing sense, of isolation.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. There's a lot of potential negative consequences from extended isolation. When you become an entrepreneur, there are certain realities that are coming, and you can prepare for them. As an entrepreneur, you're going to have issues at times with cash flow and income, particularly in our industry where there are ebbs and flows in terms of the number of shoots that you can do and the money you can make. You have to be really responsible. You have to be disciplined. You have to be accountable for your business. So, these realities are part and parcel of being an entrepreneur. What I think is a lot harder to try to figure out or even anticipate is the level of isolation in the field. We see our competitors, and there's always the presumption that our competitors are doing things better and bigger, and what's wrong with me? But you can't really go talk to your competitors about it. So there's that. Some people can rely on their friends or perhaps their partners, spouses, what have you. But, in a lot of situations, that may not be helpful because friends may not know the intricacies of running a photography business. They may not know the pressures of being an entrepreneur. And you can talk to your spouse about it, but maybe they don't know how to handle those pressures because they are dealing with their own stuff. And they don't want to deal with another potential insecurity. It's like, what do you mean we're not going to be making money in January and February? In terms of bouncing things off to people that you would normally bounce things off, it may not be applicable. So it leaves you feeling very, very isolated. And there are psychologically, emotionally, there are consequences for that. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from isolation to sadness and feeling blue, which is another hop, skip, and a jump to mild to moderate depression and anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that rings true for me, and we've talked a lot about that, and I really talked about that in my presentation a couple of years ago at PMRE about kind of the loneliness of it all. Mark and I coming together and joining our businesses has really, I think, helped both of our mental health because we have someone else to just to be with and who knows what we're going through. And so much of this was exacerbated, back in 2020 when, we had the worldwide stress of the pandemic that everyone was feeling. And then at that same time, those of us in this industry were just going insane because our businesses were going insane because it was just like busier than we've ever been. And yet you feel completely isolated. And then you're trying to come home to your spouse and they have the burden of so much of the household stuff because you're gone so much. And if, in my case, I had a small child and like, it's not then you're going to come to them to, commiserate to because they're going through their own crap, and the stuff that's hard for you is actually making it hard for them too. And so it's really, and I will say, and the reason I really did want you to talk about it a bit is in doing this podcast, when we have gotten notes from people and have met people at PMRE in person who are listeners to the podcast. And so many people have commented of how they see themselves in our stories and how they feel like we understand what they're going through, because I think the struggles that we talk about, and in particular, the loneliness of it, is the thing that I think has resonated with our audience more than anything. And kind of, I think what hopefully this podcast has been is a bit of a bit of a salve on that loneliness. Is like, hey, and obviously I don't personally know all of our listeners, but they know that someone else is at least going through this. And I think that helps, but it's just us doing this podcast is not enough for people. They need more help. Harvard
has done studies on adult development, decades long-term study. And what they have found over and over and over again that is absolutely undeniable because they've seen it replicated over decades is that social time is a key item, is a cornerstone item to one's overall wellness, happiness, well-being, what have you. So the whole idea of carving out time to fight isolation, to be with people, even if you're an introvert, it's really, really important to find ways to be with people, spend time together, laugh. It makes such a difference to your overall satisfaction levels in your life.
And let's clarify that hanging out with realtors on photo shoots does not count. You want to be having relationships outside of work, and obviously, I think we've at this point every real estate photographer probably is genuinely friends with some of their clients, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and there are things you can do. It's not as if you have to spend time with a certain group of people every single time for you to address isolation. Most good-sized cities and towns in the US and Canada have business development groups, chambers of commerce, what have you, that you can get involved in. You can go to different networking functions depending on what field that you're in. For example, if you're shooting for interior designers get together all the time. So go network there, spend some time with a target audience. Go to the PMRE conference, and even more important than going and receiving all the benefits of going to the premier professional development event in our field, it's the relationships that you can start there, sharing phone numbers, sharing email addresses, and touching base with people that you meet at the conference. Starting up mastermind groups, critiquing each other's work maybe once a month. It gives you something to look forward to. And that sense of hopefulness is also key and very important to fight isolation. So developing relationships, putting in the effort to develop relationships with colleagues in your industry, is a big deal. To knock off, two birds with one stone, so to speak. If you want more professional development and you want to have another relationship, then engaging with a mentor or a coach or a business consultant is also a good idea, right?
Oh yeah, I mean we have Jeff our business advisor, and no, that does really help. I mean all those things really help, and it is important even outside of the professional world to cultivate some time away from work, cultivate some time relationships outside of work, and with your loved ones, your family, or if you don't have a lot of family, any close friendships you're able to have. It is important to do those as well. Obviously, I mean that's the stuff the proverbial deathbed stuff. You look back and say, "Oh, I wish I had spent more time with my family, my children, my."
And then there are the standard things that are just so commonplace that they seem almost trite, but they have value. So things like, get out of the damn house. Physical activity will play a role in helping with the isolation. And, and I don't want to get too, warm and fuzzy counselor speak here, but the whole idea of really trying to be more in the moment and to be mindful of things will be very helpful. So, you go on a walk. This is where photography is absolutely amazing, because when you are taking a photograph and you're trying to compose things and you are thinking about what you're trying to do in that moment, well, that's being mindful. You are living in that moment. And so photography, even though you're doing it professionally and you might say, oh, well, geez, I do it all day. I shoot X number of houses a day. Why would I pick up a camera during my off time? Well, there's a number of reasons why you would do that. First is to remind yourself of the joy of why you got in the field in the first place. I mean, photography is such a wonderful endeavor in terms of giving your creativity a conduit to get out and something for you to explore. So for myself, when I'm feeling kind of blue and feeling kind of isolated, I take my cell phone out, go for a walk. I find a trail to go on, And I like doing nature photography and macro photography. And I think that, that helps me to clear my head. I enjoy it immensely. When I'm doing it, I don't think about family issues or money issues or work issues or any other type of issues. I'm just, no pun intended, I'm focused on what I'm doing in that particular moment. It helps me to be more mindful, more present in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think those are really, really, really good suggestions, and I would advocate therapy too. And I'm, on a therapy journey right now myself. And like, I think it can help obviously. And I don't even think, I think at this day and age, there's not a stigma around therapy. And so I think it's certainly fine to talk about it and to there's no shame in seeking help that way. I think taking care of our mental health is so key, and it's the thing that we try to suck it up and move forward, without addressing it. And I know for myself, I've been very guilty of that for years and years and years and years. And so I'm really trying this year, because I had such a hard year last year. I mean, business wise was hard. Personally was just an epically hard year. And I think I've been in a, not amazing place in a lot of ways. And so I've really been working on over the last few months of getting myself in a better headspace, getting myself in a better physical space. And also, and part of that has been, I think, trying to put business in its place where it's not, where it's like there were some things about the business that were stressing me, and I tried to address those head on and kind of put those to bed. And I also, offloaded them to other people in our organization. My point is, like, it is a journey, and that we are there, that you do want to make sure that you are thinking about how you're feeling physically and mentally. And if there are issues, please address them sooner rather than later.
I think that's good advice.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. Well, and I think to do that, it would take action, which means it's time for our action items. Hey, today our action items are sponsored once again by Pixel CRM. Unlock the full potential of your real estate photography business with Pixel CRM, the all-in-one CRM and marketing platform that's built by a real estate photographer for real estate media professionals. Come on, Pixel CRM. We've used it. We love it. And it is, and I stand by this and I agree with this. It is designed to help you attract and retain clients through marketing systems and automation. We love a good marketing system. We love good automation. We've been using Pixel CRM and we love it. I encourage you to check it out. So go to pixelcrm.com/upmarket and you can get a 30-day risk-free trial. That's Pixel CRM, pixelcrm.com/upmarket. I'm going to go first. This one is one I was just thinking about the other day, is to have a QR code that they can give people. And I know that because, that's very, very basic. But that QR code can point to anything. It can point back to your order page. It can point back to, getting on your mailing list or just to your website or whatever. But there are moments where a QR code are really going to help you out. And in particular, we found that when we do a brokerage presentation and we flash that QR code up on the screen, it can take them to a page where it offers a coupon code for a future, for a new client or wherever we want to put it. That QR code, every time we put a QR code on the screen at a brokerage presentations, realtors are whipping out their phones and snapping a picture of that thing. And that, I think, is a way that so many people are getting information these days, that you want to make sure that you have, the ability and that you have some QR codes in your back pocket for when those situations do come up.
Very nice.
All right, Tony.
I'm going to go even more basic than that, Reed.
Oh, I love it.
Because in thinking that through, one little action item, my mind immediately went to, it depends where you're at in your career and what your goals are. A piece of advice, action item for someone who's wanting to transition from core real estate photography to luxury, that would be one action item. Someone who's wanting to hire employees for their business, to grow and scale it that way, that might be another action item. You're wanting to transition into design and architecture. That could be a whole different action item. So I was trying to give some thought as to an action item that would be sort of like a blanket
like
item,
a universal action item.
A universal action item that I think will help everybody. And in giving that some thought, I came up with time. And the whole idea of finding a way to get better at managing time and specifically making time for things. And, I may be cutting hairs here, Reed, but I'm saying that I'm phrasing it this way specifically. The whole idea of making time rather than taking time. And this is where I'm cutting hairs a bit. When you talk about taking time, it's like you have to reach out and take something. It's almost as if the control for that time is somewhere out there. Whereas making time, it comes from within you because you are the maker. You are the creator of that time and the organizer of that time. So the locus of control rests more with you. So whether you want to improve your craft, whether you want to scale your business and hire employee, whether you want to transition to design and architecture, make the time, carve out the time in your calendar to do what you need to do. It could be professional development to improve your photography. Maybe there's an element of the craft that you want to focus on. It could be lighting. It could be composition. It could be editing, things that you think will take your craft and your craft work to the next level. Making the time, if you want to scale your business, to really do an analysis of your numbers to see if it even warrants that intervention. And if so, making the time to find out maybe a good business coach who can help you with that if you've never done it before. Same thing for transitioning to interior design and architecture work. It's a completely different animal than core real estate, and it requires some savvy. Well, making the time to learn about that is a big deal. So my one thing, making the time, internal locus of control, make the time.
Well, and you know what? You can also make the time just to take a damn walk.
Yeah.
Go clear your mind.
Clear your mind. There's a lot of ROI in doing things with a clear head, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, and I think that goes into what we were just talking about in the last half of the show, is make the time to work on your mental health. Make the time to see your loved ones. We always want to be sure that we are making the time that we have matter, right? And we have all this stuff, of course, that we have to do. Not to get dark, but man, it just like life ends up being short. And so if you're not making the time to do the things that you want to do and spending the time with the people you want to spend with, you will regret it and you won't get to where you want to go, or it'll take you a hell of a lot longer to get there.
Without question.
So Tony, that was a kind of vague action item, but a very specific one, and I think probably the best one of all, because it really kind of sums up what we're trying to do here. Of how, we're not even with a podcast, but it's just of like all of us as business owners, we're trying to make our lives better. We're trying to make our businesses better. And if you do not make the time to do that,
and I think one feeds into the other. I think if you are able to address some of the emotional and mental health concerns that you might have, or even if you don't have concerns in terms of strengthening your emotional and mental health, that translates into your photography. I'm sure of it. Going into a shoot with a clear mind allows for more of your natural creativity to come out.
Tony, thank you. I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. I think that was a wonderful conversation. I'm really not only am I looking forward to day 3, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas and getting to spend some time together, hopefully.
Likewise.
And I've only heard raves about your luxury workshop. So I really do encourage people, if you are going to make it out to Las Vegas, to think about taking that workshop, that 2-day capturing luxury workshop. So it's at PMREconference.com, and you can get on there and get registered, not only for the conference, but for the workshop. And of course, I just want to say thank you to our listeners. Without you, we have nothing here with this podcast. And Tony, once again, thank you so much. And we're all looking forward to seeing you all in Las Vegas in November.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Reed.
Of course, my pleasure. Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.